the database, and for good reason, especially given some had never even met before that night, and one was this guy who just saw them walk by and started taking photos. But however you get onto these lists, whether it's a Facebook post, living in the wrong building, or just annoying the cops, it can be very hard to get off. Few places have real mechanisms for challenging your placement, assuming you even know you're on one in the first place. Because while that singer got a letter in the mail, California is one of the few places that requires you be notified if you're added to a database. And let's say you were in a gang, but you left, which is actually pretty common. Experts say most people who join gangs might just try it out for a couple of years, then leave. The problem is, while departments are supposed to reevaluate gang database entries at least every 5 years and purge those that officers can't reconfirm, that doesn't always happen. One of the first in-depth looks at California's database found it was rife with names that should have been purged long ago. And if your name is in a database, it can open you up to even more interaction with police, as you're more likely to get stopped, searched or arrested for a minor infraction, which is obviously dangerous, especially for people of colour who, remember, are the vast majority of those on these databases. Just listen to this man in New York explaining how an outdated gang label came back to haunt him.
32-year-old Victor Dempsey, a former gang member who served prison time at 17 years old for attempted robbery, says he left his gang life behind more than a decade ago. But he claims the NYPD's gang database still has him listed as a known member, which he realized during a recent routine traffic stop.
The fact that they decided to detain me in their squad car because I'm labeled a gang member is outrageous to me, and I did not know until that day. I happened to see the monitor, and there was a mugshot of me that said security risk.
Yeah, that's a pretty nasty surprise. But I will say good on that guy for doing what we all do, but very few are brave enough to admit to, taking a little peek at someone else's screen. If your screen is out in public, I'm a peeking. A four-paragraph friend breakup on the subway? Don't mind if I fucking do. Sarah has been different since the 4th of July beach hang, and you're right to tell her over text. And all of this can have long-term effects. If you're labelled a gang member, you could face higher bail, tougher prosecution, and even a longer sentence. For instance, in California, let's say you're accused of stealing a phone and are charged with robbery. Your sentence might be around 2 to 5 years. But if you're in their database and the DA pursues a gang enhancement charge, you can easily be facing as much as 15 years. And that, crucially, can push people to feel like they have to take plea deals. And when it comes to immigrants, the designation of gang member can be truly life-altering. It can be the reason that someone's denied various pathways to remain in the US, and it can make someone a higher priority for deportation and the target of a raid. Take what happened during Trump's first term. Back then, there was a real presence of MS-13 in Long Island with significant associated violence. But that fed into a paranoia that got wildly out of hand because schools there were told to be on the lookout for gang activity with some maddeningly imprecise guidance, as both a school administrator and a community activist there pointed out.
You really don't see this guy anymore. You're going to see these guys. It's going to be the kid in the skinny jeans and the polo shirt and maybe the Chicago Bulls cap.
They put on a presentation. They show images of bandanas or bull's horns, and they tell us that those are items that if we see the students wearing or drawing, that we should be on the alert because it's related to a gang.
I've heard things like, oh, well, they scribble 503 in their notebooks. Duh, it's the area code of where they come from.
Yeah, and kids are gonna doodle. And 503 is honestly preferable to what most students are drawing. Dicks, just loads and loads of dicks. Octopus with dick tentacles, the Easter Bunny with dick ears, the school's principal with dicks for arms, legs, and even hair. They are lucky their students were doing area codes instead. And the thing about telling teachers and school police, look out for a bunch of kids all wearing the same thing, is that wearing the same thing is literally what kids do. One teacher there later told the story of how she was working lunch duty when a school security guard told her he thought it was suspicious that a lot of the students were wearing the Salvadoran flag. As she put it, thank God I was there because I told him today is their Independence Day. He had no clue. And just imagine being labelled a gang member because a school security guard didn't have international holidays turned on his Google calendar. But unfortunately, not all kids were as lucky as those in that particular lunchroom, because at another high school in that area, a teenager called Alex got added to a gang database by a school resource officer after he was seen, among other things, wearing blue sneakers, which school security guards told him were the colour of MS-13. They also cited the fact that he'd written the numbers 504 on his backpack and had doodled a devil with horns. You should know, Alex was a Honduran immigrant, and 504 was the Honduras country club. As for the devil, that was literally that school's mascot. This is what it looked like, also blue, by the way, the colour of MS-13. Nevertheless, Alex got labelled an MS-13 member, and a few months later, ICE agents came to his house, arrested him, telling him they'd heard he was a gang member, and he was eventually deported. And he wasn't the only one scooped up. And when a police commissioner there was asked why he thought collaborating with ICE was a good idea, he had a pretty chilling answer.
Why do you need to even bring in ICE? Because the evidence isn't strong enough?
For example, if we have intelligence that they are a gang member, that's not necessarily a crime, right? Certainly being a gang member is not a crime, and the intel that we may have may not indicate a significant state crime. We may have something small in them, but nothing to be in jail. So if we perceive someone as a public safety threat, we utilize all of our tools, which include immigration tools. So we'll partner with the Department of Homeland Security to target them for detention and removal.
Okay, so there is a lot there. First, thank you for finally answering the question, what would American Dad look like in real life? But second, if someone's on your list of big bad criminals and you can't find any big bad crime to arrest them for, that suggests the problem might be your fucking list. So it is pretty clear gang databases are way too easy to get on, way too hard to get off, and can turn people's lives upside down. So what do? Well, I'd argue we get rid of them. And if you think, well, hold on, how will police then stop gang violence? I'd say with police work, they could and should do actual police work focusing on where violence is concentrated instead of fixating on labels. As one expert who studied gangs has said, dangerous groups and dangerous offenders can be tracked perfectly well by ordinary law enforcement intelligence methods and systems. They don't need these databases to do that. And for what it's worth, Chicago and Portland, following criticism, actually scrapped their databases in recent years, and one analysis found it has not resulted in an increase in reported crime. Meanwhile, departments in other cities, including some I've mentioned, like Phoenix and New York, told us they've learned from the past and tightened up how people are added to their databases, but that is very hard to verify given how opaque all of this is. And I'm not saying violence associated with gangs isn't real or isn't a problem. I'm just saying the answer needs to go beyond policing and way beyond these databases. One expert we spoke with emphasised the need to keep putting resources toward community violence intervention workers who can access spaces and networks that police can't and perhaps shouldn't enter, like family cookouts and peace talks between warring street crews, as those individuals have the credibility to mediate disputes, mentor young people at risk and guide them toward potentially life-saving opportunities. But until we make that paradigm shift, we may need to fundamentally change our understanding of what being on one of these databases means. Because when you hear known gang member or that something was gang involved on the news, it sounds like evidence. But as you've seen tonight, far too often the label's sloppily applied with flimsy criteria and very little regard for what the consequences could be. Keeping these databases as they are isn't just short-sighted. It is actively harmful to the communities they're supposed to be helping. If only there were a more elegant way to sum all that up in just a sentence delivered by someone with first-hand experience of this problem. Luckily, I think I may know just the person to speak to that point.
Living in the gangster's paradise. It's
probiotic is the only probiotic that is clinically proven to arrive 100% alive in your gut.
If you're like me and you shoot often, you need a reliable source of ammo on demand.
No middlemen, no outsourcing, no foreign beef sneaking through a back door. Nobody wants foreign meat. Sorry, we have a great meat, the best meat here in the United States.
Caroluma is just one of the natural ingredients doctors added to a weight loss supplement called Lean.
Birchgold.com, you'll start to understand why gold's been a hedge for mankind for 5,000 years of recorded history.
Yet precious metals delivered to your door.
I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts. What are you going to do to protect what's yours?
I gotta tell you, a cat without stinky poop?
I'm in. Moving on. Finally tonight, a quick update about minor league baseball. You may remember, back in May, we offered to rebrand one minor league team under the condition that they take whatever name we give them sight unseen. And in a pleasant surprise, nearly half the teams in the league applied. In the end, we chose the Erie Seawolves, who sent us 11 reasons they should be picked, including the Seawolves play baseball nowhere near the sea. So, we rebranded them into the Erie Moon Mammoths, taking the name from a prehistoric fossil that was discovered in a nearby lake by a diver named George Moon. And people seemed to really respond to it. The team apparently sold 4 years' worth of merchandise in just 3 weeks. And last Saturday, they played their first of 4 games this year as the Moon Mammoths in front of a record crowd. I was there looking happier than I've ever been. And I cannot thank everyone at the Seawolves and at this show enough for working incredibly hard to pull off this ridiculous idea in a stupidly short time frame. But I'm so happy that they all did, because it really was an amazing evening. Take a look.
Not a single soul has left this ballpark to turn in early, hoping for some Moon Mammoths magic tonight. Here it comes.
It's morning in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Welcome to UPMC Park.
The Seawolves are transforming.
I'm the team president for the Erie Seawolves. With Erie Moon Mammoths, I guess.
Thanks to the discovery of this man.
1991, I was diving at Lake Pleasant. I was doing an advanced class with another diver, and I found the mammoth bone. Of course, at the time, I thought it was a dinosaur bone, held it out like, he looked at me like I was an idiot, you know. That was the start of it.
And a little help from one John Oliver.
I hear that frequently around town. Oh, are you aware that there's another John Oliver out there? I'm very aware. At some point, I hope he becomes aware of me.
While many in Erie were excited about the new team name, not everyone was on board.
We are the Seawolves. We aren't the Moon Dogs.
Well, first, Fred, it's Moon Mammoths, not dogs. But second, it was too late to go back, because this purple mastodon was about to make his big entrance.
And here he is, making his UPMC Park debut, Fuzzy Mammoth!
Nothing could spoil this majestic moment. Not even an absolute disgrace of an opening pitch. As the game began, Fuzz greeted his adoring fans, even as the inferior John Oliver struggled with every task he was given, getting food orders wrong, stumbling through a radio broadcast,
They never tell you, you ask them the
frightened animal, and absolutely...
Hey, sister, you very funny, where got never tell you. You say the shitting in the toilet bowl, I got tell you right.
Sadly, the story on the field wasn't quite the fairy tale the people of Erie had hoped for.
And goodbye, it's a home run for Adam Retzbach. Coming to the plate, they can't get it, they call it safe. Line drive the other way, it's the base hit. Campos looking up, it is gone, a home run. And it's 6-3 Oyster Catchers.
Though in the bottom of the ninth, all hope seemed lost.
We'll see if they've got a 3-run rally in their bats tonight.
It turned out these mammoths weren't ready for extinction just yet.
Line drive into center, base hit. Lead off man 1,000 Mo Mammoths fans on the edge of their seat on a 2-2. And goes a chop one high, chop to the right side. First baseman Urban stumbles, gets to the pitcher, save! Line drive right center field. It's gone. It goes to the wall. Joseph Urban runs it off. It's on the slip side and Miller. It's a 2-run double for McGonigal. A base hit could win the ballgame. Lots of fans standing, hoping for some Moon Mammoth magic tonight.
And when you believe in magic, sometimes miracles really do happen.
Cristiano strikes out swinging, and that does it.
And sometimes they don't. But even in the face of defeat, the people of Erie left with their tusks held high. Because there's always another day. There's always another ball game.
It feels unreal. I just thought that Mammoth would have its time in the sun every once in a while and people would forget about it. I would have never ever guessed it would have made a splash like this with the Seawolves, with the Erie community, or anything else. Anything's possible wherever you live, whether it's Erie or anywhere else. You never know, when you stick your hand down in the mud and pull something up, what you're going to find.
Well put, George Moon. You never do know what you're going to find. You might find hope. You might find a new friend.
Do you know how few lists there are with only one white guy on them? It's like...
Oh, okay. 有一次红色那辆车我看了我就不用管了。OK 啊。等一下我拿那个 luggage bag 给你哦。你要放哪一个 open air multi-story？ 我 personally 比较喜欢 open air 啦。你放 open air 咯。OK。你放side by side咯，你放斜也比较容易。OK， 好，拜拜。Moon Beach.